We are live.
We are alive.
Yeah.
And alive. Branimir, you have to say we are live. That's how you check in.
We are live. Can you
Very
guys hear
good.
me?
Awesome.
Hello.
Yeah. Let's kick it off. We have a few things today. The centerpiece of today's talk is going to be around the V8 testnet. And yeah, I'm hearing some echo. All right. Let me. Okay. Apologies. Well, okay. I guess we're gonna have to cut this one out. I had YouTube stream on live, and I could, with a slight delay, I started hearing myself and the two of you. But anyhow, we're live. Welcome to this episode. Today's centerpiece is the V8 testnet that is going to be rolled out in the coming week, and there's plenty of significance behind the version 8 of the decentralized knowledge graph. It is the 8th iteration of a very powerful technology, a quite unique technology, which is a marriage between the two very, very powerful substrates. One of them blockchain, and the other one knowledge graph, being used by many, many important and big companies. And Origin Trail community and ecosystem came into this game in the beginning of 2018, and ever since we have rolled out one powerful version of the DKG after another, and we are at the cusp of releasing the testnet, which is going to be a great indicator as to how powerful the mainnet V8 is going to be, both in terms of the scalability, throughput, and also in terms of how well it can support the verifiable internet, meaning more inclusion and also improving or getting rid entirely some of the fallacies of artificial intelligence. Without further ado, let's have Tomasz and Branimir say a few words before we continue and dig into the pudding of today's discussion.
Yeah, I think it's these types of milestones are a great moment to just do a little check-in as well in terms of just the direction we see the ecosystem going, and it's I remember with the release of the white paper 3, which was really laying the foundations for the convergence of artificial intelligence, crypto, and internet as a whole, and kind of embodied this concept of the verifiable internet for AI. We're just seeing validations of the basically the needs that this verifiable internet for AI is addressing day in and day out. And so, yeah, I think the V8 testnet and mainnet can't come soon enough because we do require that internet scale to come, so that all these challenges of that we've been kind of tackling over the course of basically since the launch of the network, on how to instill trust in all these different verticals or these different spheres of where internet is present. This with AI is only becoming more and more important, and I'm sure everyone can name quite a few examples of kind of a mess that was created because of the needs that basically the verifiable internet for AI is addressing. So I think the testnet is coming at the right time. It's coming because it's needed, and I'm looking forward to today as well as the coming period as we launch this out.
Yeah, I think it's a really great time because we're going to see so many improvements. As we previously also mentioned, scalability, but also not just scalability. Usability is going to be improved tremendously, both in terms of users, general users, but also for builders. You will just be able to do much more in much easier ways with the neurosymbolic AI that DKG embodies, which is a really powerful combination of AI technologies. So the combination of neural AI, this whole world of generative LLM type of creative AI that we've seen booming in the last couple of years, which is really creative, but also makes mistakes, right? Such as hallucinations, has problems of centralization and bias, and also other problems such as model collapse. But essentially it's a very powerful technology, creative, but sort of can get off rails and can be, very tricky to implement unless you pair it up with something that actually gives it those rails, which is symbolic AI, which happen to be knowledge graphs. So the DKG is really a synergy of those two, and it's going to be really exciting to see that power put into the hands of everybody with the coming testnet launch next week. So I'm super excited for that, and we'll show you some of that power today, and what it actually brings also for the DKG, how it improves the usability of features that we already previously have seen that haven't had this native AI support. So yeah, I'm going to demo a couple of things today that we've been working on that you'll see very soon. All right. So I guess by now we have everybody in.
Yeah, let's go into the...
Who's the deck master?
I think Tomasz is already putting his fingers on the...
if you have a second screen, Brana, I'm like welcoming you too.
Okay, give me a second.
Give him a second for the second screen. Here we go.
I have a demo up, that's why I need to open it.
All right, yeah. Let's see. Maybe I can.
Yeah, I'm already on it. Just now. Putting up the right slides. Big promise, there's not a lot of slides, folks, so you're not going to be like slide overwhelmed. Here it is. Okay, share screen. Somebody give me a signal that we...
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Okay. All right, everybody. So, as you can already see by the title, what we're going to be talking about today is how do we launch V8, the newest version of Origin Trail, decentralized knowledge graph, which, as we already mentioned, is going to have quite a lot of new capabilities. The important part of launching this is that we need to launch it in the right way. So we're going to talk about that way today, and that way is an incentivized way. So we will use all of the benefits of building this in an open source, decentralized way to incentivize the community of builders, of testers, of developers, or really just users of the technology to do a bunch of very beneficial things for this launch. So at the end of this mission control meeting number 1, you should come out with basically ways of understanding how you can participate and earn incentives. But the important part here is not just to like sort of airdrop incentives for whatever. It is to do that in a way where we can really measure the right things, performance, scalability, usability, and then figure out what's not working, what needs to be tweaked, any bugs that we might find, any potential, security issues if they arise. We're building a new thing here, even though it's an evolution, so it might have, things that we really need to double check and test multiple times. So therefore expose it to as many different people and testers as possible. Manage all of that so we can ultimately master it. So the measure, manage, master is really kind of the slogan we're going by here with this incentivized testnet launch. But before we go into how we're going to do it, I know we have a really nice slide coming up. So I'm just going to slide into the slide. How do I do this? Okay. Who likes to jump into that beautiful slide?
It's
just like this guy slid into her
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm part of this show still. Yeah. Yeah, we were discussing how significant the power of being able to really own your data or really own your knowledge is in nowadays world, especially since much of the value from the data or much of the value from your even private data is being appropriated by centralized entities. And throughout building the decentralized knowledge graph, we came to a realization that what we're building is much, much bigger and can serve much wider purpose towards individuals being able to really capture their own data and be able to monetize their own data, and also being able to select what kind of models, what kind of AI models they're using to augment the value of their data. Hence the saying that your knowledge is a new asset class. You just need to be able to maintain it, and you need to be able to capture it. And this is where Origin Trail decentralized knowledge graph comes in. And with the with the culmination of our development, which is now resulting initially in the testnet and then finally in the mainnet V8, you are able to capture your data in a much more scalable way. You attach certain mechanics to your knowledge, which makes this knowledge transferable, even much like a token. And more importantly, this data, next to some other mechanism, can be made available for AI models to be trained on, or using this decentralized retrieval augmented generation, which was developed by the Origin Trail and is becoming the essential part of the V8. You're able to drive much more accurate results using artificial intelligence with less hallucinations, less bias. You're able to explain any result that you're getting. Overarchingly, you're able to be your master of fate when it comes to handling data. One of the main prerequisites for Origin Trail to be able really to allow you to secure your information, of course, is scalability, being brought about by the Origin Trail V8 and other advancements that are going to be put in place, such as EdgeNote, which is a vastly more capable way of for you to carry your own information, your own knowledge on any device being secured by any chain. And this really nice meme shows that even though sometimes you're not even able to opt out of this, the current state of the data economy, the larger companies such as OpenAI and Apple are able to benefit from your data greatly. So our mission here is to bring Origin Trail decentralized knowledge graph basically to anyone on any device and on any chain. Perhaps we can move to another slide. And there's a very meaningful saying, and I believe Professor Dr. Metcalf repeated those words several times when he said that AI ran out of data, and ultimately it failed. And this time it won't run out of data, because it will be underpinned by the decentralized knowledge graph, which will essentially make more data available in a much more democratic fashion. And what Bitcoin essentially did for money, Origin Trail is doing for world's knowledge, essentially your knowledge, any kind of data that you might possess. And it's not just any individual, it's any company basically. And we have seen and stretched the limits of the decentralized knowledge graph by having it been employed by the S&P 500 companies, essentially driving 40% of the imports to the United States by making it more secure, allowing for this substrate as a knowledge carrier to be used by multiple companies to exchange information, making passenger and rail transportation more safe. So plethora of use cases driven by the enterprise sector, and now more and more we see there is a demand coming not only from sectors that we would have never expected we would have gotten into. We will talk about those sectors most likely a little bit more at the conference at the DKGcon in Amsterdam. So you're most welcome to join us there. Either you fly into Amsterdam or you join us online to hear more about the exciting use cases, exciting new partners building on top of Origin Trail. And next to that, of course, we have a line of builders which are planning to launch their own parent networks, knowledge parent networks on top of the decentralized knowledge graph. All right, now I think it's time for Branimir to take a mic just to guide you a little bit through the bits and pieces or the plans around the testnet launch.
Absolutely.
Or you want to spend a couple of words around scaling of a V6, which is already, I believe we hit the 100,000 daily publishings of knowledge assets today, which used to be a dream. I mean, it used to be a prophecy 3 years ago. Not many believed in, but today it became a reality. And I see this iceberg that we stopped at DKG V6 and how capable it is. And Branimir will continue as to how much larger the V8 is. But I think we deserve
Is this a happy 100K day?
Come again?
Should this be a 100K day? So we'll have like a happy 100K day.
Oh yeah, it's like a Bitcoin pizza day. It's gonna be a happy 100K day. Yeah,
that's it. I think it's a thing now.
Of September. Yeah,
slap it on the DKG.
26th, right? It happened yesterday.
Oh, there you go. 26th.
Yeah, mark that. Yeah, but yeah, it's very. It's been a journey to get to this. I remember the days when it was just hundreds of knowledge records being written into the DKG. Various limitations on the way that we were basically moving out of the way and building around and creating, even since the initial, first time we started even doing prototypes with blockchains, 2016 now, when I look back, it's like an eternity. But when we quickly realized you shouldn't really put a lot of data on chain for various reasons, but one reason being scalability. Version 6 came a very long way, and like we said, 100K is what we got yesterday of knowledge assets in one day, which is really, really cool. But what we're really going towards is orders of magnitude beyond that. So what we want to achieve is that anybody from any device really in the world can just seamlessly create knowledge records, enshrine them in the DKG, be they private or public, so that what we're seeing today is just really the tip of an iceberg, where we want to see a huge increase in capacity with what V8 brings, this new V8 engine. And actually the word V8 engine is no longer just a gimmick or like a cool meme. It is literally becoming a core component of the node, because the V8 nodes become more powerful. So far, the nodes in the DKG have been mostly focused on infrastructural services, connecting with other nodes, connecting with blockchains, doing all of the necessary knowledge graph work, hosting the knowledge graph. And in V8, we actually distinguish two groups of nodes. The edge nodes, which we expect to actually surpass in numbers the current numbers of nodes that we see, and core nodes, vastly surpassed, by the way, and core nodes, which kind of are an evolution of the current V6 nodes, so the nodes that are the core infrastructure of the network. If you were to look of an analogy, you can think of like a mobile type of mobile network. In a mobile network, you have cell phone towers, which are your core of the network. It's actually how it's called. And you have mobile phones and other devices that connect to that core, which are called the edge. So in that same way, we are labeling nodes in the DKG. So you can actually expect edge nodes to be running on all kinds of devices, as you can see on this depiction here. And those devices go from anything from like mobile phones, laptops, Raspberry Pis, things like that, also basically cloud deployments, because that's also going to be interesting, and you'll see very soon why. Ultimately, they're running the same code and having the same function, which is to contain, to ensure private knowledge stays within the edge node. So for example, you will be able to host your private knowledge graph on your laptop, and have that private knowledge be yours, exposed, if you will, and in the way you will, to AI and to the rest of the DKG. So enabling the ability such as to monetize your data, to contribute to other knowledge graphs, and so forth. But ultimately making it your decision and you being in control the entire time. Not just you being in control, it's you also being able to extend it to any way you want. So the edge node comes out with, like I said, the V8 engine, which is going to be inside of both the edge and the core nodes, the same engine, the V8 diesel or whatever, but that engine is wrapped around in additional services such as AI services like knowledge mining, DRAG, and others, which are also going to be available, and they're going to be running in different platforms. So again, the distinction, the core nodes they're like your cell phone towers. They basically need to be on pretty much all the time, so high uptime. And in order to do that, they also need to ensure a significant level of security. So far, V6 nodes have done that. So the nodes that are basically accumulating stake, that can also attract delegated track stake, those are going to be the core nodes, and those nodes are responsible for hosting the network and also for basically receiving and splitting among themselves the fees of publishing in the network. While the edge nodes do not host the network, so they're not your cell phone towers, they're your cell phones, and they enable you to interact with everybody else in the network. All the other edge nodes, including the core nodes, all of the services available on the DKG. And if you've been following the recent developments with the introduction of pairnets, we have enabled an additional way to add services into the DKG. So essentially services around a certain domain of knowledge or a certain particular knowledge graph which has its own mission, if you will. For example, the DSci pairnet, which has the mission to generate new scientific research and knowledge and share that IP among the people contributing in that pairnet. Very, very exciting project. It's just one example. We're going to see many others happening, but ultimately all of those services are also going to be something you can directly interact with. So in order to get to this, we obviously need scalability improvements, but not just scalability improvements, because we're putting DKG in everybody's phone. Whoever wants to use the phone or the laptop, we also need usability improvements. We heard a lot of the feedback from both the builders and the users on how we can improve it, and I'm very pleased to say that the team has produced tremendous results. So something that you also see today is, in my opinion, a huge leap in terms of improving usability of the current DKG V6. So, but we'll see that very soon. So the V8, to get to this, to get to the mainnet, we're going to go through phases of testnet. We're going to be basically building out this new system in layers. And when I mention those layers, we can just go ahead and look at it. So we're going to go through a 3-layer sequence. Think of it as like a cake. We're going to be adding layers, and once the cake is done and we're happy with it, that this cake, this system is going to be able to go to production. So first layer obviously comes as this core infrastructure layer. So we want to launch the testnet with core nodes, and these core nodes essentially, like I said, run the antenna, if you will, of this V8 infrastructure. For that, we would like to ask anybody who's interested in contributing to run a core node. So basically, go ahead, spin up a node on a server, and then turn on the telemetry switch. The telemetry switch basically tells your node that it should send its valuable logs. So all of the information it generates from just running, we're going to get that information as developers from you. And because you send that data, that valuable data to us, naturally that is going to be incentivized. The data is inherently valuable. That is a key principle by which we go. And when this is going to happen is basically next week. So next week we'll release the details, we'll deploy the initial core of the network so that when you plug in your node, you're already in and you can submit all of this telemetry. So ultimately, the more nodes are run, the better, because we will have more data, more different situations. Ideally, through this system, we're going to see nodes running on all kinds of environments, different, everything from operating systems to different cloud environments behind different types of basically infrastructure on the internet level. So network addressing protocols, all of those things that we kind of take for granted, but actually are pretty important. And then with this, we're going to have core nodes launch and enable all of the features of the necessary features to start testing. This layer we will improve as we go, so it will continuously get new features. Some of the features are batch minting. Batch minting enables you to create multiple knowledge assets in one transaction. A couple of months ago, we demonstrated that we were able to do 400 in one transaction. Just for reference, currently you can do one knowledge asset in one transaction because that's basically an NFT mint transaction. So we managed to do 400, and actually now we went even further than that. So I even have a log, I guess, of a node open here that I've ran locally a transaction where we minted 900 knowledge assets in one go. So how far we will go, we'll have to see. That's why the testnet is here. We're going to see what is our potential throughput in scaling through batch minting. Apart from that, we're also working on random sampling. Random sampling is an improvement in the way the nodes utilize, the core nodes utilize the blockchain. So essentially bundling transactions instead of sending a bunch of transactions that in V6 they do now. We're going to cut that by orders of magnitude and without compromising any functionality. We found a way. You can kind of consider it as a similar approach to way blockchain rollups work. They roll up a block and they submit that block to be validated on some form of May chain. For example, in Polkadot, that would be relay chain and pair chain. So essentially a very similar technical principle is applied. But anyhow, that's all part of what core nodes will do, and then we will be rolling out those on the testnet as we go. At the same time, we are testing how this transition happens from V6 to V8. Because an important point here is that V6 is not going to be, V8 is not going to launch like a kind of a separate environment from V6 and we have two networks. That happened with V5. So we have the V5 network and the V6 network. And because V6 had a bunch of significant changes, such as introducing RDF and Sparkle, introducing knowledge assets, introducing a bunch of new features, it had to be launched as a separate network. Which ultimately is also a bit tricky because then you have to tackle migrations and so forth. With V8, we are actually looking at a phase shift. So the V6 network is going to sort of convert or transform itself into the V8 network. And that means it will get all of these new features, but we need to make sure that this transition happens smoothly so that all of the previously existing knowledge or of the hundreds of thousands of knowledge assets that are being created daily right now remain functional and reachable and discoverable. So that is really the core infra layer job, is to we test all of this on testnet, deploy all of these features in sequence, because that's how they will land on the mainnet as well. So we can consider it as kind of like a joint exercise or rehearsal. And through this testnet, the more data you send us through your nodes, the better. I encourage everybody to run core nodes anywhere they can. I know some people are going to try and run them on very minimal hardware, like I mentioned, Raspberry Pis. So If you do that, let us know how it works. How well does it perform? How much power you're consuming? That's actually what I found really interesting. Anyhow, that's layer 1. Layer 2 is the security layer. That means we're going to launch V8 staking on testnet. So we're going to be testing staking on testnet together, and we want to really make sure that everybody's secure. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen some unfortunate cases in the community where people seem to have somehow lost control of their private keys for some wallets. There's been some noise around it, which is always a bad situation. And the hackers are always going to be out and about and trying to capture the value through these, troubling practices. So what we really need to make sure of is when we launch version 8, just as V6 network is secure and tested, we need to make sure that V8 is also secure and tested, so the new systems, the new changes in the contracts are battle tested. For that, we're going to incentivize testing the new staking UI. So you'll be able to jump into the new staking UI, try it out, try to break it, try to hack it, and we will issue rewards for on-chain activity. So basically, staking, unstaking, transferring, doing all of these useful activities help us test the UI. If you find something, if you find a bug or any issue, bug submissions are also going to be graded. So that's obviously very valuable. So essentially, we're incentivizing collecting a lot of the data and information on how the system performs, either automatically through telemetry or manually through our activities as users. So in a way, layer 2 is a lot about user testing, both for quality assurance, but also for usability. Layer 3 is going to see edge nodes launch. So this is where we introduce the AI layer, the top layer, where basically we get UIs, such as the one I'll show you today, which you can basically interact much easier with the DKG, such as create knowledge assets, query them, ask questions to the DKG directly, and many, many more things. What we will look for here is testing of the edge node components. There's a bunch of new components outside of the engine that's coming out, such as the DRAG API. DRAG API enables DRAG on the DKG. The knowledge mining APIs, so ability to create knowledge assets from various different inputs, such as websites, PDFs, and so forth. And obviously, all of the other components. So there's a bunch of them that are coming out. They're all going to be open source, and they are going to be something you can use to extend and build forward. But basically, what we're looking for is bug submissions or bug fixes, such as code contributions, direct code fixes, but also additions in terms of useful new features or changes to the existing features. So everything that you help with, you're going to be eligible for the incentivization program, basically. But last but not least, once we have the edge nodes out, it's really time to build. So there's going to be a new wave of the Inception program for builders, where this Inception program focuses on taking this new engine V8 system for a spin and creating solutions during the testnet phase, testing them out so that they can be rolled out on mainnet. And the key criteria here would be that we see obviously sensible, heavy usage of the DKG. If your technology, what you're building is not heavily relying on the DKG and not generating a large number of knowledge assets, then it's going to be less, let's say, less useful for the ecosystem, and therefore it's going to be less incentivized. So if you can think of and build a solution that leverages heavily the features of the DKG, you might be eligible to apply for the Inception program when it's out, once we launch this. So this is the overview of the 3 layers. The core infrastructure layer goes live next week. On top of that, we build and we test the security layer, where we launch the new staking capabilities and basically the new UI, and then we add the edge nodes and they come out, so you can basically test and build with them. And that is a brief summary of the 3 activities. How we're going to incentivize this is with 1 million track tokens. So a budget of 1 million track tokens is split across these categories. Obviously, the hardest thing to do is to build. So if you're building an entire solution on the DKG, it requires the most knowledge, the most commitment, and so forth. So 750,000 track is dedicated for the inception program for builders. And as you can see, bug submissions and code contributions, 100K for node running, and 50K for those of you who will be testing the UIs. And basically, you can kind of rank it by how much prior knowledge do you need. If you're building a system, you obviously need to understand DKG quite well and what knowledge graphs are and how you can build and code and all of that stuff. While, for example, to test out the staking UI, you don't even need to be an engineer or developer. All you need to have is like a wallet, basically, and you can just come in and start playing around and testing. So many more people can contribute here and can participate, but this activity is obviously much easier. So not that it doesn't bring value, but we get much more value from, as an ecosystem, from builders creating new things on the DKG that are going to leverage the technology heavily, and that's obviously the hardest to do. So this is a quick overview of the budget for the incentivized testnet, and we will share all of these details in dedicated docs, including how you can start contributing to the first phase, which is going to go live next week. So all of the instructions you need on how to set up a node, how to turn on telemetry, and how to start contributing and getting incentives. So that is the quick overview of the three layers we're going to go out with. I believe that's also the last slide. Yes, that is the last slide. So before I need to share again before we go into the demo. Do you guys want to pitch in with something, Tomasz or Žiga?
I think you did a great job walking us through the phases. I think it's good to have this layered approach. We'll be able to engage different groups for different activities, and kind of dissect a little bit how the V8 is coming to fruition and make sure that every little piece is validated as it should be. But overarchingly, we are going for that really mainstream capabilities with this infrastructure. So it needs to be also tested properly. And I'm looking forward to all this inception program. Also, builders coming in, bringing their different expertise from various fields and understanding of how the DKG can be leveraged in different settings. It's a cool exercise and a cool activity. Bringing and enriching the entire community with many new things getting built out. I guess that would be my.
And so in that order, the first part of the grant will be available to those who participate in establishing the infrastructure on the V8 testnet. So that's going to be immediately available next week. The second one for the staking user interface that Branimir will showcase now, which is a pretty exciting thing because it's AI using decentralized knowledge graph to help you allocate funds across nodes. So it's a pretty sick stuff that is now available on the DKG, which used to be much less endowed with this. It's intended for all those builders, even the ones who have built something on the DKG, to redeploy on the V8 testnet initially, and then try and publish as many valuable knowledge assets, because that will highly influence the size of the grant that such an application might win. And finally, really, showcase what you can build on top of the mainnet.
Yeah, let me just share the screen I set it up. So I guess you guys can see it now. Yes, this is prototype staking interface that we haven't shown before, even though it might seem like we've shown it before, because it's essentially the using the chat DKG features or the AI assistant that comes from the edge node. So as you can see, this is actually implemented on top of an edge node. And this is one way that you will be able to use the DKG to stake. Let me just basically go and show you how to do this. It's quite easy. So imagine you're a new user who doesn't know a lot about the DKG, doesn't know some particularities of how staking works. So they can come and say, okay, let's say, please help me stake my track tokens, for example. And the UI is just conversational. It says, okay, which network do you want to use? And let's say I want to use NeuroWeb. And if I pick NeuroWeb, it's gonna say, okay, I understand, let's go. So which wallet do you want to use? Okay, I have a bunch of wallet extensions here, but like right now only MetaMask is active, so it's offering MetaMask. So let me just say, okay, let's use MetaMask. And then it has connected to my MetaMask because I already have this test wallet here. And it says what the balance is and what both in Track and Neuro. Essentially, it guides you through. So it's like you're basically AI assisted staking. And now it lets me choose a node. It says, let's choose a node for your staking. Below is a selection of nodes available, each currently holding less than 2 million track. So you probably know if you've been staking that like you cannot stake on nodes that have more than 2 million track because that's the maximum. So basically the interface immediately filters those out. And then I can just go and pick which node. And these are, by the way, mainnet nodes. So actually nodes on NeuroWeb. And so now what I can actually do is I can even, use the AI to help me filter this. For example, I can say filter the nodes with more than 1 million track, and let's say more than 15 delegators. Just because, as an example, awesome, here are the nodes that match your criteria, and basically Polkabot is one of those nodes, and it shows its characteristics similarly to the way they're shown now in the in the staking UI for V6. So, and basically now what I have to say is I have to explicitly tell it, okay, I want to stake on Polkabot node, let's say. Okay, and it's going to start the process. So, can you actually see? Yeah, you should see MetaMask. So, since I didn't input the amount, it assumes 1. If I told it like how many tokens I want to stake, it would just like put that number in. So I forgot that tiny piece of information, but let's say we want to stake 1 track. And so what actually happens now is I'm actually doing this. So I'm sending the transaction to NeuroWeb and I'm staking on Polkabot. And we just need to wait for this transaction to pass. And once this transaction is over, the second one will go up. So I don't need to, as you can see, it showed up here because I had MetaMask open, it didn't pop out. So this is the actual staking transaction. I can go confirm. It's pending, it's moving. We wait a little bit because of the block that needs to be mined. And as you can see, it was mined. Your staking transaction has been successfully submitted and you staked 1 track on the Polkabot node. We can even check the transaction. And like I said, I just staked this track on mainnet through this interface. Now, obviously, we're going to test that interface a bit more before it goes live as productive. But I I was brave enough to stake one track right now with this beta of the interface. And okay, Subscan is a little slower, but basically the transaction has happened. And what I can do, for example, I can say, okay, show me my delegations. And if I do that, it was going to show me that I actually staked 3 track on Polkadot. The reason why it says 3 and not 1 is because I actually tried this before we came onto the call. So let's see actually if it actually passed all the way to Subscan. Yeah, so if I go to my test wallet, I should see, yes, so I see a little bit less of share tokens. Those of you who know how share tokens work, they're not exactly the same number as the amount of track, but basically this indicates that I staked 3 track in total. So, so yeah, this is a very simple, much more intuitive way to stake. Now, obviously, there's much more to it, and the idea here is not just to let you, pick and stake and do it through a chatbot, but rather to help you make the most out of your track. So obviously, more updates to that to come, but ultimately speaking, the new staking UI will also be leveraging edge node capabilities which come from ChatDKG, the project, and subsume that information and that code and enables you to do something like what we've just seen. Yeah, I guess that's it from this demo.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's like what we've seen was, to me, it's very cool to be able to do it for staking, but like zooming out, what we saw is the convergence of AI and crypto and internet by default as well in performing actions. Now, these actions were triggered by Branimir in this case, but what the future holds is having AI agents as the users of internet roaming freely about, performing different tasks for us. And what this gives them is the ability to like verifiably perform actions for you based on knowledge assets, because all these little things underneath, they weren't just some random inputs or some weighted model that you kind of rely that it was fine-tuned in the way that it should to perform tasks for you. No, these had trusted foundation at the bottom. These had knowledge asset at the bottom. And with V8, this will have a trusted foundation that covers internet scale at the bottom, which means that it's going to be quite bottom heavy. And this is where really the value will start to accrue. The value that all these AI agents and different AI solutions can then tap into. While I'm excited for the staking to become so much easier, more fun to do, and you'll be able to perform all these different analysis and ask questions around or like find other ways to make use of the Gen AI reasoning capabilities to kind of interact with staking data. In a much larger sense, this is really the convergence that we are seeking from V8 to come forward. And this is the first step to showcase how really all these Gen AI model developments that are happening, they're only happening for you to be able to interact with what's underneath in the most effective way. And this is where you want to build out your value. So knowledge is indeed becoming a new asset class on crypto rails. Freaking A, I guess, in summary.
All right. This was exciting. Thank you so much for showcasing it. And I'm sure many of you are asking yourself when will all this become available, in what sequence, and we're going to be sharing documentation detailed on how to get on board next week with the first incentivization task, which is setting up an infrastructure and sharing valuable data with us so that we know what's going on with the testnet. We measure, then we manage, and then we improve, and finally we master each phase. In the second phase, you'll be able to run and do staking using the kind of the interface Branimir showed. So pretty much artificial intelligence is becoming the interface of the decentralized knowledge graph in production. So this is not some kind of vaporware just labeled AI crypto. This is the only and the first production-ready decentralized AI solution that allows you not only to stake, but to protect and then to supercharge your knowledge in any scenario. Behind us, we have a huge support of very, very powerful both institutions, companies, even governments, or European Union. So we'll be pushing the limits of the decentralized knowledge graph continuously, and we're also looking forward for you to join us in pushing those limits. Next week, the whole fun starts. You don't want to miss it. If you miss it, it's on you. It's not on us. So make sure to stay vigilant and don't lose your valuable track. And if you want to get even safer on the newest generation of DKG, make sure to be part of the testnet and make sure to really master it. And you'll not be sorry, because we're all making history here. Tomorrow, next week, and in the following weeks that are in front of us, we're going to see a lot of exciting deployments. We internally are working on many of them, so make sure to stay tuned. Branimir, Tomasz, would you like to add anything with regards to the testnet or the V8 mainnet launch, the Decentralized Knowledge Graph conference in Amsterdam?
You should be there.
DKGcon is the place to be, and it's easier to travel to than last year, because Amsterdam is a bit more connected than Ljubljana was. So, less excuses for you guys to make your way over. As you see, there's a lot of different speakers that will be joining us, and it's going to be a contentful conference. There's going to be also workshops that we're going to be carrying out in the day after the conference, which for everyone that are looking to kind of build or create solutions on top of especially DKG V8, and you want to have like a fast track to figuring everything out, it'll be likely the best place to be in the coming period to really soak up all that knowledge, because you'll be able to go step by step in deploying stuff. There's going to be guests that we're going to be having, so it's not just going to be DKG, but also it's going to be adjacent technologies from big and small companies. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and a lot of knowledge-packed 2 days in Amsterdam. So if it's time to start lobbying for those either free days, or pack it in as a part of your work routine that you got to make your trip over to Amsterdam. I hope I'll see a lot of you guys over there, and let's, like Giga said, let's make history together.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the lineup of speakers, and we haven't announced even all of them yet. So there's some really powerful, clever people coming in that are not going to share their view. They're going to also deep dive into how the tech works together with the major AI systems. And it's going to be very exciting. So if you're coming and if you can stay, if you like to learn how to use neural symbolic AI, how to build with it in really practical terms, workshops are going to be probably the best we've ever had. And we're going to be there, so probably no better way than to hands-on work. All you need is to just bring your laptop. You don't need to know much about knowledge graphs. You need a little bit of capability in terms of some basic coding, but we've designed the workshops in such a way that they progress. So the later in the day, the more complicated, let's say, it gets. So we try to also make those that you don't have to necessarily do everything, that you can just kind of, I at least follow along to understand, but also to do some stuff, even if not maybe you get everything fully, but definitely, how to use the edge node, how to edit it, how to build with it, how to integrate it with other stuff. And basically, it will be a knowledge-packed workshop. So as a quick recap, this is all part of the the V8 launch and the path to mainnet, the road to mainnet looks a lot like kind of building out this cake, as I mentioned. We're gonna have an incentivized testnet period that is going to be built out in layers. The first layer gets launched next week. That is going to be the core infrastructure layer. You will be able to run core nodes of Origin Trail V8. When you run those core nodes, those nodes can submit very valuable data to us core developers, but also to you. You can review it yourself. So that means logs, bugs, things like that are going to be visible. And either we as core developers or maybe you as a builder can fix those bugs in the code. Origin Trail is an open source project, so we also incentivize not just running nodes that generate all of this valuable information, but also contributing code and bugs, reporting bugs. Even if you cannot fix them, just reporting them is also very valuable. Layer 2 is going to be the security layer, where we test out staking quite a bit. Today you've seen a kind of a preliminary AI staking system, but actually working on mainnet data. We're going to be testing that for security, making sure everybody's safe when we launch V8, and just also making it more and more capable and powerful, and just really utilizing that track in the best possible way, and enabling more people to onboard in a much easier way than it was until now. Layer 3, this sort of cream on top of the cake, is going to be the AI layer, where we're going to launch edge nodes. So you're going to be able to take those edge nodes for a spin, initially running them on computers, desktops, laptops, and the cloud, and then building with them. So the builders get also the ability to apply for the Inception program for builders, where you can create solutions already on the testnet, obviously with the goal to deploy them on mainnet. And for that, we have an incentive pool of 750,000 track, and another 250,000 for bug submissions, code contributions, testing the UIs. So whatever your skill level is, you can basically, anybody can contribute. There's something for anybody to try out and to earn and get these valuable incentives, but most importantly, help us to deliver V8 in the safe, usable, and best performing, scalable way. After we complete those three, we're going to proceed with the update on the mainnet, and that is going to kick off essentially the new era of the DKG with much higher scalability, orders of magnitude increased, and with new AI powers, which some of them we saw today, but many more we're going to see in the future. And if you'd be interested in looking into that, I also encourage checking out our roadmap and the autonomous decentralized knowledge graph and the paper we released for decentralized retrieval augmented generation, which goes into a lot of detail on how this technology really brings together crypto, AI, and the internet stack together for something which we call the verifiable internet for AI, which is absolutely going to be needed to solve the problems at societal level that are growing as we speak.
Well, Giga said it. The only decentralized AI solution that's ready for production is now getting another 1000x boost. So I'll see you in the future, everybody.
I always need to recalculate. Is that based on today's record? So 1000x from here?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the boost is there, right? So yeah, we're the 100 that the today's record got broken still on the existing network. So
nice.
Boosts be coming.
Yeah. So may the boost be with you.
Going to become so like non-prohibitive to use the DKG in terms of scale, limits, and cost, that it's going to be, just like people are using now, we're using the TCP protocol, but how many of us are aware of this? That's how people will be using Track and the DKG in the very near future. People and machines.
Great.
Be exclusive. We need to be inclusive towards machines too.
Wonderful. I think we can conclude now. I see the sun is coming out from the sky, from the clouds here in Ljubljana. It's a lovely outside, and we have a couple more things to share today. And during the weekend, there's going to be plenty of, I guess, speakers still to be announced. So we're bracing ourselves for the busy period. So don't blink in order not to miss anything. And if you happen to be close to Amsterdam, please do stop by. Let's have a drink and let's together look into under the hood of the V8 and take it out for a spin before it gets fully launched. Wishing you all a great weekend and trace on.
Take care, everyone.